Live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode. 66 this is. I haven't been keeping count. I've been remiss in running the show, and I haven't been keeping count like Allie was doing with the number of shows, but I went back and counted. This is number 66, and we were going to have a guest on today, but he is on his way to a train show. We had a little miscommunication. So I thought he was going to be on today, but he can't be on today, so because he's not at home. But
I've got a couple in the bullpen, but they couldn't make it on this morning either. But
yeah, and we've got some good ideas for future shows. So, but this morning we got kind of caught with our pants down
again.
Yeah, again. It's a recurring theme.
Yeah, it's like trying. How are we? We got to fill 60 minutes. So
and I apologize for any extraneous noise that you might be hearing on the show. They're here pumping gunite on the pool today, and the truck's right outside my office window here, so it's a little bit loud. But anyway, hopefully it's not too bad for you guys.
It's not that bad. I got puppy duty, so it's take your puppy to work day. So I've got a sleeping Frenchie out here who may wake up at any time. So.
Yeah, Annie's right here next to me. So, yeah, let's bring your dog to work. Yeah. This isn't really work, though. This is more fun than work.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, let's see who's in the house this morning. Let me get the participants up here. Oh, Al Mar's here. Good morning, Al. Vinny's here. Good morning, Vinny.
Good morning, guys.
And Chuck, CDP 1965, who's building his own turnouts now. Good morning, Chuck. Grandpa Rails is here. Good morning, John.
John.
Rob T-Man's here.
Mr. Rob.
John from School Kills here. Mr. Steve Arnold's here.
Who's that? Yeah, you got Steve saying hi.
Steve Arnold and Mr. Steve Anderson both are here.
Who the hell is he?
Yeah, good to see you guys. Oh, and Bernard's in the corner.
You know, I'm not seeing everybody. I'm not seeing Rob. I'm not seeing Bernard.
I didn't see Rob until I hit the participants. I think he just came in. And there again, if they don't put something in chat, you're not going to see him anyway. Make sure you hit the live chat though, and not the top chat if you're looking on YouTube.
Oh, that's my problem.
Yeah, that's your problem. Anyway, guys, good morning. And we really don't have a subject because we were going to interview somebody and they couldn't be here. So now we're kind of stuck. So what do you guys want to talk about? We're always up for a good conversation.
We could just sit here and stare at each other.
Answer questions or any of that kind of stuff.
We could do just Claude and I do our regular.
Oh, we don't want to do that. I don't want to listen to that.
Sure they do.
But Steve was wearing a hat, so I thought I'd go get my back on track hat. But it's too hot to wear in here, so I'm gonna take it off.
Yeah, so we can do
bald head.
How about bald head day?
Oh, you got me beat, man. You got hair on yours.
I still got a little bit.
Yeah, I used to.
Oh, it's not fair. Why do we lose our hair so early? Something wrong.
I was always told, I'm not going to go there.
I know this.
I'm not going to go there. That's not a good fit.
I've heard the same story. I don't know if it's not.
Part of it was from getting slapped in the back of the head when I was a kid, but you know.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, my mom is like, bam.
Yeah, pop you upside the head. Say, go do your chores.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Then send me.
Bill's here. Roy's here. Bill's here. Lackawanna Rail fans here.
That's new.
Good to see you guys.
Lackawanna Rail fan. So you're obviously on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I get, but that wouldn't be obviously, would it? Can't just assume. Can't assume.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, we are kind of completely dead in the water for a subject today because we did not prepare to not have a guest. We didn't find out until yesterday, till last night, that we were going to have somebody.
No background.
Bernard said, like, should have sanded your headboard, what I've been told. No, I don't think that was the problem.
Your headboard.
That wasn't my problem anyway. Anyway, let's see. What can we come up with? Excuse me, my dog's just opened the door. Let me shut that.
He's pretty good. We can talk about making a swimming pool. You should see that pool that's getting put in. Woo, man.
Oh, it's a mess back there right now.
Fun. With the water in it, it reminded me of the scene out of Poltergeist.
Yeah, it's kind of what it looks like after all the rain. Oh, that's a mess back there. Well, it had rained when they started, and they made a muddy mess digging it out. And then it was dry for 10 days. And they got got everything in but the gunite. And I didn't think they'd show up today, but they came today to spray the gunite. So,
hey, good morning, Fred. We were just talking about you. Yeah, we were just talking about Fred Wild before we went live. We're talking about that train haul that you did. Woo.
Hey, Mark just gave you a question, Steve. You'll have to answer this one.
Mark Julian, let's see, I got to read it first. The subject, fastest freight train, Santa Fe, Super G, or the SP Blue Streak merchandise? I have no idea.
I thought you'd surely say Santa Fe Super G.
Well, of course. No, mine was, my first thing that came to my head was the 199 train, the hot UPS train.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, and I got to ride the Super Chief when I was a kid. I don't know if it was the Chief or the Texan or whatever they were calling it. It went from LA to Fort Worth, so I don't know what they called it at that time.
Oh, we could talk first class passenger trains. There were a lot, but nothing touched the Super Chief.
Yeah, if you didn't get a chance to ride on one of those, man, you missed something. That was pretty special. Of course, I was a young kid, but I still thought it was pretty cool.
Well, they were all competing. I mean, you had all these railroads just competing for passengers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so they're all trying to outdo each other. Yeah, and they were like going first class on an airplane, even in the coach stuff. If you were going across country, you had pretty good accommodations. I mean, the seats, I remember having lots of room in the seats and laying back. I mean, I laid back and I slept great. Of course, I was small. I wasn't as big as I am now. I probably wouldn't be quite as comfortable as an adult, but it was still pretty nice. I really enjoyed it.
Deffer had the great idea with the dome cars. I mean, that train was full of dome cars.
Oh, well, sure, going through the mountains. Woo. Yeah, that's beautiful scenery. We went through the desert, so there wasn't a lot to see going through the desert.
The Phoebe Snow, Lackawanna Rail, he says should have rode the Phoebe Snow. Can you tell
Phoebe Snow? I'm not familiar with that one.
I don't either.
He's got a winky thing there, so he may be tongue in cheek on us.
A winky.
You'll have to explain that one because I have no idea what you're talking about there.
Oh, Mark's talking about the Super C. Okay, that was a expedited.
He's talking about freight trains. Okay.
Yeah. But that's kind of equivalent to the Santa Fe's hot UPS trains, the 991 and the 199.
Well, and the wasn't the reefer trains were like that too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Fast freight.
High speed. The Santa Fe had a contract, Chicago to Richmond, and it was contracted, and Mark could probably get the hours, but the Santa Fe was fined every hour that train was late, because it had to be in Richmond or Chicago at a particular time, and if it wasn't, they got fined. And that thing was a smoking hot train. That was a great one to get. You know, you pick it up in Fresno, man, 3 hours and 20 minutes, you're in Richmond. Switch to switch in 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
70 miles an hour, all green. Even Amtrak would go in the hole for you. So that was a nice one to catch.
Now, see, there's why I didn't know what the Phoebe Snow was.
I thought she was a singer.
Well, she could have been. I wouldn't have known. That was a passenger train. Did you get a ride on it at any point? Because, like I say, that back in the day, that was a treat. Taking a passenger train. My grandparents took several trains from Victorville, California, to Fort Worth, Texas, where her family was, until we moved out there. But she rode it because she wouldn't take an airplane.
Well, Mark,
in fact, my grandmother, if we went up to Big Bear Lake, they're just above LA, she would get in the back seat on the floorboard because she didn't want to see out the sides as we're going up the mountain.
Well,
she was definitely afraid of that kind of stuff.
52 hours from Richmond to Chicago for the 991. That was contracted hours. And a lot, if anybody doesn't know the number system on the Santa Fe, like I said the 199, the 991, Santa Fe gave numbers to the station. Chicago was 1, Richmond was 9, LA was 8. And the middle number was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but it was basically the quality of the train. The higher the number, the more it was expedited. So you had a 189 train that would have work en route. So they had different blocks of cars that would be set out, and some of them in Southern California, Barstow. It wasn't a set block that went from the East Coast to the West Coast. And then you had the drags. Like you had one that went from the Bay Area to Southern California. It was a 928 train, and that was a drag. That was a 12 hours. If you were lucky, you made it. And I believe, I want to say Kansas City was 5, but I'm not really sure. But that was their numbering system, and then they changed it to the Q Rich was a Q Richmond to Chicago. So they had all different ways of numbering the trains. But yeah, you wanted to catch the hot UPS train. That was a good one.
Oh, man, he's still got F3s going by his house.
Who does?
Yeah, Lackawanna, rail fan. Yeah. That's cool. Because you don't see them anymore. Except in a museum. That's what I grew up with, was F3s and F7s. Yeah, those were cool. That's why I've got them on my layout. I've got F3s and FTs.
Chuck wants to know the number for Barstow. Oh, Mark already answered it. 8. Okay. I got it.
Barstow was, Barstow area was 8. Okay, well, that would have been, yeah, that Victorville was probably in that because we were only 30 miles south of Barstow. I got
the one test. They had a test train back in, I believe it was in 92. They wanted to see if the 199 train could make it quicker, so they qualified that train to run at 79 as opposed to 70. The max was, track speed was 70. And so when we and Mark will recognize the conductor I had, Hal Quist was the Quist brothers, John, not Hal, Dale Quist. He was my conductor, and we got special instructions on our paperwork in Fresno that we were qualified to run 79 from Fresno to Stockton. And it was like, that's cool. We had the new 100 class Ep60Ms, which looked real good. The rail fans loved them. They rode like crap. They were terrible. When they redesigned the GP60s and they put all that weight on the nose with that wide nose, they didn't do anything with the suspension. So that thing, even at 70, felt like it was coming off the rails. 79 scared the crap out of me. That thing was slamming, but we get to Stockton, and we got to go, and we went, and we were halfway across the Delta. We went to Port Chicago at 79. So we at Port Chicago, the speed drops down to 55 because you're going in up the hill, and all of a sudden, Dale gets up. He said, "We're fired." And I was like, "What do you mean we're fired?" And he said, "We were only authorized to run 79 to Stockton, and we ran 79 to Port Chicago." And it's like, "Oh crap!"
Somebody boo-booed.
we're in deep poo-poo. So we were expecting as soon as we got into Richmond to have a phone call, and because every eye was on that train. I mean that was an experiment to see. We never heard a word. They never said a word.
Yeah.
But
Ben's got a question for you.
We were going to get fired. Yeah.
He wants to know: are you or were you an engineer?
I was. I'm a retired engineer now. I got hurt in a collision.
He got fired for going too fast.
I got fired for. Oh man, I was sweating bullets too because I was like, no, I can't do that right now. I hired in 77 and went in engine service in 1980, and I was promoted in February 1981. And at that time, I was the youngest engineer on the West Coast. I couldn't even go to a bar yet, but we had a great group of people, and I got hurt in a collision in '93, and they retired me. So now I'm a housewife.
Well, Mark says Cajon Pass, San Bernardino, LA Hobart, yard stuff. Yeah, well, that's right down in where I was born and raised the first 10 years of my life. 9 years of my life was in Apple Valley. I was born in Apple Valley and raised in Victorville, which is, and we lived down by San Bernardino, Fontana and Bloomington, down that area. So I've been through Cajon Pass many, many times, but only once on the train.
Actually, Mark, I think you're right. I think Barbara was the dispatcher. Yeah. She was terrible. Oh my God. The worst.
Benny wanted to know who you worked for, but that was, wrong one.
Santa Fe.
Yeah, Santa Fe. Santa Fe all the way.
You get that? Yeah.
Okay, John, take care.
Later, John. Yeah, it was funny. I got paid to do something I loved. Always wanted to be an engineer, and then I get paid to do it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I always thought that'd be a fun job. I don't know that it would have been for me, but
it was. The hours sucked. It was terrible. I mean, if you want a life, don't go work for the railroad. It was, it was a lot of fun though, and the people were great. I'm still in contact with a lot of them, and Mark's one of them. Mark Giuliani, he's on here.
Well, it's kind of like being a trucker, and I haven't seen Roy on here yet this morning, but that's Roy can probably vouch if you were married. That's tough to keep a marriage together when you're never home.
It didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. And women don't care for that too much usually.
No, I was gone more than I was home. I was home for 8 hours, and I was gone for 36 to 40 hours, and then home for another. I spent more time in a motel than I did at home.
Yeah. Oh, Mark's got another question. Mark. He said there's a live streaming cam in Hesperia. Well, I wouldn't recognize the area now, Mark, because we left there in '66, and there was 4,500, they said, in Apple Valley at that time, which is right next to Hesperia. And now that whole valley is full. I mean, they got an airport out there now, and it's crazy. You look on the map now, from what I remembered as a kid, it's just nuts how wide open, or how many people are up there now that moved out of LA up into the mountain, up into the desert, which is not a bad move, by the way. It's the weather's much better up there. Lehigh River had a comment there, Steve.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, it did suck big time. I miss it, and I totally enjoy it, and I understand what you're talking about. People doing bad things with themselves in front of trains. I've lived through several of those, and they're not fun. And I had an old engineer, actually Mark will know him, Eldo Lindsay, super guy. I trained with him pretty much my whole training program. I'm best friends with his son Rob. Still in touch with Rob. And Eldo told me once in the training program, he said, if somebody's gonna commit suicide in front of the train, don't look at them. Don't look at, turn away. He said that will haunt you for the rest of your life. And it's true. Yeah. But yeah, I've had several of those experiences, and they're not fun. They're not fun at all. But
yeah, I can't imagine. Can't imagine that. That would not be good. Rob T-Man says, now if you engineer your own railroad, you can go as fast as you want, though.
I do that. Well, not really, because I got some tight curves in it, but then they kind of flip off.
Yeah. You can't run them like a NASCAR, can you?
No. What's kind of funny though, because trains get in your blood, and my wife right now does not get it. She doesn't get it. She won't even come out here. She says, what is it with trains? And I say, well, I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
How do you answer that?
Well, that's why Roy's not here this morning. He's at a train show.
I
wonder if he's up North Platte, because that's where our guest that was supposed to be on today. He's at a train show in North Platte, Nebraska. So maybe they're at the same one. I wish they'd have more around here, but the one in Tulsa is not worth going to. And they have one in Oklahoma City every year, but it's at Christmas, just before Christmas. And they didn't have one last year, so it's been a couple of years since I've even been to one. I was supposed to go over to Arkansas and go with Jason, Train Freak, and meet up over there. And I had some other stuff that kind of came up and wasn't going to really allow me to go. So I didn't get to go to that one either. I really wanted to go to that one. Benny says that, yeah, that's where Roy is in North Platte, out in the middle of nowhere.
Good morning, Gary. We've got Gary from Big G's Railroad. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, Gary. Good to see you. Chuck said he lived in Atlanta for a short time. Well, it's a good thing it was a short time, because it was even more desolate than Victorville and Napa Valley, as I remember as a kid. I don't ever remember anything good being said about Atlanta when we lived there. And I haven't been back out in that area since, was it 72, I think, when my cousin got married down in LA, and my dad and I drove up to see the old house and stuff back in 72. And it had changed some then too, but nothing like it is now.
Gary's making trees this morning. That's good. We were just talking about that. That Claude's got to he's making some new aspen trees.
Yeah, I figured out a new way to make some aspen trees. So I think I'm going to do an update today, and I'll or film it today. I don't know if I'll get it posted up, but I think I'll show some of that, how I was doing that, because they turned out a lot better than the ones I had. Roy's got a question for you, Steve.
Okay.
What type of engine did you run when you were an engineer?
That's a good question, actually, because now, and that's something about the railroads now. Everything's cookie cutter. They all look the same. They just paint them different colors. They're going to have 4 big GEs on the middle and a bunch of double stacks. They all look the same. The Santa Fe, we had a ton of different kinds of locomotives. God, the list is long. You name it, they probably had it. Santa Fe didn't do Alcos. They stuck with GEs and EMDs. My personal favorite was the SD40-2s. They rode really good. They had that long wheelbase with the big porches on the front and back, push the cab back, so you didn't get as much lateral motion. So those rode really good for. And as far as the 4-axle, my favorite was the GP60Ms when they came out. Those would pull like crazy. But no, I go back to the CF7s. I ran those. I didn't. None of the F units. We didn't. They were gone by then. We didn't have any Alcos. Lots of big GEs, the big U36Cs, C30-7s. A lot of smaller GEs. We the list is long. I mean, you name it, we brought the Santa Fe had, and that was great because the power was quite a variety of it. I mean, and we had the F45s, the FP45s, which actually weren't my favorite because they tended to rock really bad. The SD45s did the same thing. Sometimes going through the yard tracks in Richmond when you're going to tie on your train, they're rocking so bad. You look back in the mirror and they're almost banging into the cars next to in the next track over. The FP45s, the cabs in those were huge. So they were freezing ass cold in the wintertime. They only had they had the strip heaters on the side and that couldn't put out enough heat to heat that cab. So it was cold. They're loud. Those were really, really loud. But I think that one of the funnest ones was the CF7s before they rebuilt them. They had the old I think it was R24 braking system like the F7s had. So those were kind of fun. But yeah, no, that Santa Fe had quite a variety, and now everything's the same. They all look the same. They get them all from the same manufacturer and just slap a different color on them. So trains are all the same now. They'd be boring to rail fan anymore. If that answers.
Vinny asking, I'm sure he's asking me probably, is Apple Valley close to Palmdale? And I want to say yes, but I'm not real sure where Palmdale was. If it was very far east of, if it was out toward Lucerne Valley, I probably wouldn't have known about it back then. If it was too far west, like past Atlanta or someplace like that, I wouldn't have known about it either.
Lehigh Valley said was responding to Vinny's question that he always liked the look of the ABBA GP60 concepts, and it's funny you would mention that because they didn't run those for very long, and the reason being is that and I can give an example because I had a 199 train that had a set of a GP60M ABBA, and we hit a car just outside of Merced, and bad ordered the lead locomotive, and the only other locomotive that had a cab was turned around. It was facing the other direction, so we had to switch them out. We had to set out the lead unit and put our rear unit on the head end so that we could get in, and we had to run backwards. Try to run a desktop control backwards at 70 miles an hour.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And so they put out special instructions that they always had to have another locomotive on those trains headed in the direction, so that if you had that happen, that you weren't stuck with a wide nose running backwards. because it was not a good. So yeah, that's why you didn't see too many ABBA combinations.
Roy and Bernard came in and said, Roy said it was a bit north of there, and Bernard said Palmdale was close to Edwards Air Force Base. Okay, that's why I wasn't sure where it was, because the only time I got north of Atlanta area was when we went up to Barstow. Not Barstow, we went to Calico, Ghost Town, which was just east of Barstow. That was the only time as a kid that I went up there, and I would have probably been asleep in the car on the way up there, most likely. And the only other time I would have been up there is when we went on the train, and we went as far north as Barstow and got in that big yard that Vinny was talking about earlier, and sat there for several hours while they waited on another train to come in to hook up.
Now, Vinny, you said the GP60s switched the yard a year ago. Now that's interesting, because what they did, the Santa Fe pulled out the desks on those, and they put traditional control stands in them, so they can use them now a lot easier in the yard in switching now, because you don't have that stupid desk control. That was a dumb idea. Whoever thought about that an engineer needed a desk to, it's like bad idea.
Well, I've never run one, so I wouldn't have any input on that.
Well, people are, you're generally lazy, and the traditional cabs had the controls on the side, which were an easy reach, so that when you're leaning out the window, you can do it. You can flip the chair backwards and run with the other hand looking out. So it was a lot more convenient if you're switching. Well, with the new desktop controls that they came out with in 1990, you couldn't get comfortable like you're doing here. You had to sit up. It was a desk, and you had the controls sticking up, so you couldn't get comfortable, kick your feet back. The old cabs, they had a heater right in front of the window that was slanted, perfect for laying your feet up. I mean, it was, very comfortable, when when you're running a train. The desktops were just a disaster. I mean, they just thought we needed an office space, I guess, and that was not a good idea.
Yeah, we're freezing. The video's freezing up a little bit. Hopefully the audio's still coming through okay.
On me?
No, on my end, on the show part of it.
No,
for StreamYard. So I don't know what's causing that. I don't know if it's doing that for them or not. But Grandpa Rails, John's got a question. Did I make it in the loop when you lived in California? Oh no, Tehachapi? I'm assuming that's the loop you're talking about. No, I did not even know Tehachapi existed when I lived there. We got on the train. That one time I rode it as a kid. We got on the train in LA. I don't know why we went down to LA to get on it, because they went right through Victorville. But we went from there to Barstow, up through Cajon Pass to Barstow, and then sat in Barstow for several hours waiting on another train to come in with a couple of cars. And I remember the next morning, the engineer was trying to make up time going across the desert. And the orange juice and coffee, that's the color of your white linen on the table in the dining car, because it was rocking so hard. I thought it was pretty cool as a kid, but my mother didn't think it was all that great. But no, they're not having problems. Thank you, Roy.
Yeah.
It's just been randomly freezing our video on here, but the audio for me has been coming through just fine. I just didn't know if it was doing anything for you guys. With the guys doing the pool out there, and they've been running back and forth, and they broke a sprinkler this morning, had the water off for a little while. So we're just kind of sweating out whether or not they hit an electric line. They shouldn't, but who knows?
You never know.
No, never know. Never seen a pool being put in before, so it's kind of been an interesting process. But yeah, the backyard is like a nightmare right now. So anyway,
Where'd our show go? I just messed up.
Did you just mess up? You're still on, so.
I messed up I got to get back to chat.
Well, Steve ended up being our guest today.
Isn't that weird how that happens?
So I guess you ran nothing but freight trains. Is that correct?
I ran one passenger train. We had a passenger, an employee appreciation special on the 4th of July in 1992, and we had two brand new. Oh God, they were the 500 class. I can't remember the engine number. The 500s for the Santa Fe. We had these guys that look like this, whatever. These guys. Okay. So we had two of those. We had a coach, the full-length dome car, and the Santa Fe theater car on the back end. It was basically a theater. The back of the car was glass, and they had tiered seats in the back. So when they had, director specials and whatnot, they could sit back there and watch the railroad, which was actually kind of cool. But anyway, they had this open house in Richmond, and we were allowed to bring our kids and families, to ride the train. And they put out a request for a cruise, and I volunteered for the engine crew. So I was the engineer on one, and I was able to bring my daughter up in the cab with me for that. I think she was 9.
And I'm surprised they let you do that.
Well, I had the road foreman of engines up there too, and his kids, and I mean, there was probably 14 people in the cab of that engine. I mean, it was nuts. But we went to where did we turn around at? Almost Pittsburgh, and we turned the train around and brought it back. It took about an hour one way and an hour the other way back. But that's probably the most fun day I ever had working for the railroad. But that was the first passenger train that had run out of Richmond since Amtrak took over the I think it was the San Francisco Chief. So, I mean, there hadn't been, 1970 to 92. So, I had the first passenger train over that in 22 years. And so I got to run that. I did train on Amtrak when I was in the training program. They actually, here in a second, see if I can pull up this, because I've got a picture of. I just randomly found this on YouTube or on Facebook, but that is, let me see. I don't know if you can see that. That's in Fresno, California, just before the depot. They used to run. This was the typical Amtrak train on the Valley Division, the San Joaquins. And I went back and I kept some pretty meticulous records, and I looked at my time book, and I'm the fireman on that train. The engineer's name is Mark. Mark might recognize the name, was Jimmy Jones. Old guy. They had to help that guy up on he couldn't even climb up in the side of the locomotive. They had to help him up there. I mean, he was about 150 years old, deaf, almost totally deaf. You had to scream at him to talk to him. It's because he'd been running these things, and he was deaf from blowing the whistle. I've never seen anybody blow a whistle that much, that long. And it's like, God, no wonder you're deaf. Those things are loud anyway, because they're in run rate all the time to run the heavy power generators. But yeah, I fired on that for probably 6 months. So I did do Amtrak. I hated it. Passenger trains were like running a streetcar. And when the Santa Fe took over, when Amtrak took over the San Joaquins, they asked if any Santa Fe crews wanted to go over to Amtrak, because before that, the Santa Fe crews were running the trains. And a lot of people went over. I personally didn't. I didn't want any part of Amtrak or running a passenger. Freight trains were what I wanted to do. But yeah, I did run a few passenger trains. Nothing exciting. I still trying to find that.
Bernard wanted to know if I was going to videotape my first cannonball in the pool. No. I won't be doing cannonballs in that pool. The deepest part of it's only going to be 5 feet deep, so not going to be doing any cannonballs in the pool.
Yeah, 840. Yeah, 840 CWs. There you go.
There you go. Mark's got a question for you, Steve. Oh, tell the fans here about your YouTube channel and the cab ride video.
Oh,
I don't know about that. Is it on the same thing?
Yeah. Back in 1992, I was a instructor engineer for the last 4 years, and I hated every minute of it. I don't have the patience to be an instructor, but the road foreman bugged me for better part of a year. Every time I saw him, he said, "Would you please consider going in the CEI program, the certified engineer instructor?" And it's like, no, I don't think so. He bugged me to death until I finally said, "Fine, I'll do it." So I I had the crazy idea that I was going to videotape the district that I ran on, so that I could make a copy of it and give it to my students so that they could take it home and they could watch, and kind of learn the territory they're going to run. And that was back when we had the big old, over the shoulder VCRs that, took up a suitcase. By the time you took the batteries and everything with it, you got another grip, and that was railroad terminology for your bag with all your stuff. So, and they had a pretty clear policy of not photographing company equipment. They did not like you taking pictures. And, video camera, man, is like, no way. They'll fire your ass, because they didn't want it videotaping, because if, there was a collision or something and there was a fatality and they found out that you've got a video of it, oh man, it was just a huge mess. So I decided I was going to do it anyway. And you had to wait for the right train, the right crew that wasn't going to turn you in. And, so I caught one with a wonderful guy, and Mark, you'll know him. His name's Bobby Bell. I still know Bob. I keep in contact with him. But yeah, I brought my big old camera, and I set it up on the control stand, and I had the thing duct taped. I had a roll of duct tape so this thing wouldn't vibrate. And I shot it's a 2-hour video that from Richmond to Troll, which is where the battery finally died. So I was going to do it further, but that was as far as I went with the battery. But yeah, if you look under YouTube, it's called the Cab Ride on the Stockton Sub, and it's actually pretty cool. It's a great memory because most of that's changed now. It's either gone or changed. But yeah, we had a blast. We had a great time. And it's funny because Mark mentioned a dispatcher named was Barbara, BJF, dispatcher BJF. I can't remember what her last name was. She was terrible, horrible dispatcher. And in that video, she had us making a meet in Christie, which was a common place. It was right before tunnel number 3. That we were going to meet the 199 train, and we were both too long for this siding. We were a mile long. We were 5,000 feet. We were a big train going out of Richmond, and we tried to tell her we're not going to fit because in that particular siding, there's a spotting section where, and it goes back to the years of the steam engine days. It was right before a mile long tunnel that you had to stop back of the spotting section in that siding, because if you went past it, you would throw a red signal on the other side of the tunnel. So you couldn't fill up that siding. We tried to tell her that, and she just didn't understand. It's like, read the timetable. If we went into Collier, the siding before, we'd have fit. It'd been no problem. But no, she had to bring us up to Christie, and we threw a red in the face of the 199 train, and he was seriously delayed there. Bob Towns and Mark, Bob, he was the engineer on that, and we just barely squeaked by. I mean, they pulled up to the signal, and they were literally checking the distance between our rear car and the locomotive so they could get by, and we just squeezed by. And Barbara got her butt chewed for that one. But it's kind of funny because when she came on duty at 3:00, and she came on the radio, and Bob goes, "It's the bitch." So you got to watch the video. You got to watch it. But you'll get a really good look at some of the divisions that ran on, and that was just a small part of it. But yeah, it's a cab ride on the Stockton sub. Grab a beer.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, you'll kill 2 hours if you're bored. A 2 hour.
I haven't seen that. I've seen most of your Train Mountain ones, I think, but I don't think I've seen that one. Oh, Steve Anderson says, "Oh, then it's just right for belly flops." Well, it could be. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a diving board, but it could be good for belly flops, but not from me. That's one thing I've learned when I've gotten older, is I don't do that stuff anymore. And I just had a birthday date for yesterday, so yeah, I'm not doing that no more.
Are we going to sing happy birthday to
No, we're not going to. I'll end the show. You start singing, I will end the show.
I know what you did for your birthday, and that was a good idea.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, what he's talking about was my birthday was Thursday, and my wife already had plans. There's a group of the older women here in this neighborhood that they have what they call wine night. And they all get together and do their little yakking and drinking wine. They have a good time. And so she was going to go to that. She told me she was going to go to that, and that we'd go celebrate my birthday yesterday. So Thursday night I had a few too many, I think, and went to bed about 9:30. So I had a very outstanding. That was after I worked in the morning, so that that was a fantastic birthday.
Bill wants to put a link of that video in the description. I can't do it on here.
I'd have to find it. And with we're getting too much delay, and I don't know what it is. It's got to be on my end. And I'm afraid if I try to look something up, it's going to do that.
Well, I might be able to do it on my phone. Hang on, I might disappear for a minute. Let me see.
Yeah, if I try to do it, I know that's what will happen. It'll screw it up. Well, thank you guys for the birthday.
I don't know.
I don't count them very much anymore, so I haven't celebrated birthdays for a long time. When you get my age, it's just another year.
Yeah, you want to forget it.
Yeah. Problem is your body won't let you.
No, it reminds you.
Uh-oh, here's a good, we're going to see this right here. And read it all. That shows May 1st or 2nd. New grandbaby is supposed to be born the 29th or 30th of this month in Redmond, so we'll have to miss the Rick Reel show. Okay. Oh, well, cool, Chuck. That's cool. Congratulations. That's true. I forgot your daughter was pregnant. You'd been telling me this kind of stuff when we were talking about building turnouts and stuff. I just completely forgot about it. Plus, it's not my place to announce that on the show. But since you have, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Is this your first? Will this be your first grandkid? That's the way to do it, Dwight. Right there. He never celebrates his birthday. He only buys himself train stuff. Perfect. That's perfect. That is perfect. That's what I do too. Anyway.
Mark, actually, I believe they still do run that ski train.
You know, yeah, I'm sure they probably do. I don't know what it looks like now. If you go to Golden, Colorado, to the Colorado Train Museum, there in Golden, they've got a couple of the old smooth side passenger cars that they used to use. They say ski train on it. But I don't know what they're using now.
Well, I know
I've never been on it, so I don't know.
They picked up some old Amtrak F40s. I know at one point. I don't know if they're still running those.
Yeah, my guess is they've probably changed out the equipment.
But their cars, they actually the Napa Valley Wine Train picked up their ski cars.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So those are old ski cars.
Mike McCardle could tell us because he lives in Denver, so he would probably know. The other one that might know would be Brian. Brian might know, but neither one of them on this morning, so I don't know. My wife is opening the front door and peeking out at the stuff and making it noisy in here. Somebody must be coming to the door. Oh, good, they shut it off. That thing is noisy. Anyway.
Not that bad. It could be any worse.
We got about 8 or 9 minutes left.
Couldn't be any worse than Puppy snoring.
That was a good video.
Idiot dog.
I laughed pretty good on that one.
He is entertaining. He is definitely entertaining.
You guys don't know this. He sent me a video of their new little French bulldog had fallen asleep on a stringer between the legs of one of the chairs with his neck over the stringer and just snoring up a storm. It's pretty funny.
There's Gus.
Hey, Gus.
Gus is tired. Gus has been sleeping.
He gets out in a good wind. He can take off with those wings he's got there.
He looks like a bat. Or it looks
okay, Steve. Steve's got a question. Is a traveling boxcar in the repair yard?
We were talking.
Steve, I wish we knew. Steve and I don't have access to the information of where it's at. And with Allie and Shannon both being out of pocket right now, we can't answer that. But we were talking about that this morning, so we're going to try and get a hold of Shannon.
We don't have where it is.
Or Allie, and see if we can't get some information on where they are. Chuck thinks Sparky has the HO, and I don't know who has the N scale. The last I heard it was Ron Marsh, but I don't know that he still has it. So, okay, Roy said Sparky mentioned still having it. So, okay, we know it's there. I know somebody's got a hold of them, but I just couldn't tell you where they are. Eventually, they'll make the circuit somehow, I hope.
Well, don't forget, we still got the keychains. I got 1 million keychains.
We got keychains, links in the description for T-shirts and hats, and coffee cups and pillows if you're like Allie. That kind of stuff. So if y'all feel so inclined, and of course all that money goes back into prizes and stuff. In fact, next show, I'll promise we're going to do some kind of contest. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll do a contest of some sort. So make sure you're here next week because you'll have to be on the show to be in the contest, and we'll give something away next week.
It won't be complicated.
Yeah.
We can guess how many times this guy will fart in one day.
Benny had to leave. See you later, Benny.
See you, Benny. Thanks for hanging out.
My daughter and wife are leaving. If I know my wife, probably for good.
No, she's not.
If she's smart, it's for good. No. Anyway, Dwight wants to know if that's a puppy or an adult.
He's a puppy. He's almost 4 months. Well, he is 4 months now, and he's about doubled in size.
Yeah, he's getting pretty good size.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, unless somebody's got another question, I think we'll just go ahead and end a little bit early. That's pretty good, Steve. You got some good information. See?
Hey,
you could have been a guest all along.
We filled another hour.
That way, I didn't have to talk that much. That's nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
Chuck wants to know if we're giving away fast track ties for prizes next week. I might have a couple I'll give you, and when I say a couple, I mean 2 ties. I'm not talking about 2 packages. I don't have very many. Bernard says he's getting the grandson ready for his funny car license. Oh, Lord. No, thank you. I don't care to go that fast, that quick. Anyway, thanks for showing up, guys.
Thank you.
We had a good time. I don't know if you guys did, but we had a really good time.
We always have a good time.
If you have any other questions, put them in the comments, and we'll pick them up and try to answer them there if you got a question or two. But hopefully next week we won't have all the extraneous noise going on that I've got going on today. But anyway, thanks for showing up, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Puppy says bye.
Bye, guys.
You got her.